My favorite time of the season is whichever season I'm in. I like to wake up and see the sun shining, and I like to iron when it rains.
Mom was fun. She's very creative. She's always been a good listener. She was my best friend my whole life. Sorry. And when she got sick, turning into somebody that she wasn't was very difficult.
I thought I had Alzheimer's. I couldn't remember. Sometimes couldn't remember my name, my telephone number, couldn't find my way home.
She could not walk. She was dizzy all the time. I think the nausea was as bad as anything because she ate nothing.
So I went to the doctor. They said, well, you must have vertigo. It felt like I was on a Ferris wheel at 100 miles an hour and it would sling me off. And then there I was, I couldn't stand up. I was sick. You get to where you just don't care if you live or die. You just sit there and let the dirt pile up. And I thought, what good am I to anybody in this world or anything? The world doesn't need something like me.
I was her primary caretaker, and she was so depressed because nobody knew what was wrong with her.
Finally, she went to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and he was the one who said, you know, I think this is a vascular problem. And so he referred us to Duke.
From the very first visit, there was nothing but kind, compassionate people.
The clinic was a very pleasant experience. Dr. Gonzalez, he was very professional, very personable.
He focused on her. He was very gentle and very kind with her.
The first time I saw Thelma in the clinic, she was very concerned that every time that she turned her head to one side, she was passing out.
Can't look at it. I can reach and get it, but I can't raise my head.
It seemed like there was one factor that precipitated all these spells, and it was the rotation of the neck.
He said, let me research and I'll make you an appointment.
We did a catheter angiogram. You're gonna move your head to the left, the same thing that you do when the spells happen, okay? We normally have two arteries on the front and two arteries on the back of the head. The artery on the front, right, it was occluded chronically. The two on the back that we normally have, one was very narrow, and the other one, as soon as she rotated her neck, the artery on the left became completely occluded. So at that point, you don't have blood flow going to the back of your head and you pass out. So out of 4, she was living out with one little artery.
The first time I heard about Ms. Cooper was when my partner, Dr. Gonzalez, asked me to review her films. Together, we reviewed her angiographic studies.
One of the solutions that we have for this is to place a stent on the one that is narrow. The problem with that is she's on blood thinners. Every time that we put a stent, we will need to add 2 more blood thinners, and if she passes out on blood thinners and falls, it's a big deal. So we were looking for a more permanent solution for her.
We came up with this plan to do a transposition, rearranging of the blood vessels supplying her brain. It's an operation that we had both experienced, but we'd never attempted here at Duke Hospital.
Dr. Gonzalez told me what the options were. It made perfect sense to me because when I was younger, I was an RN. My daughters did not understand what he was talking about.
So he drew us a nice big diagram,
which helped us tremendously.
We cut the artery and then we connected sideways to this artery that you have on the right side.
Okay.
He explained that it was very high risk and she was a very complicated case.
I had no life. I had no life at all. I knew the risk. I didn't have any other choice or chance.
It took us a few minutes to discuss it. We had confidence in the medical team, and so we called back and said, yes, we want to do it. Schedule it as soon as possible.
The only thing that did concern me was that since I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I was worried about the blood issue. The Bible teaches that blood is sacred, and we don't think we should take a blood transfusion to sustain our life.
That's another layer of complexity. It raises your anxiety a little bit, but on the other hand,
We have an exceptional center for blood conservation here that allows me to focus on what I do best, and they take care of the part that they do best, which is to make it safe for us to take care of patients who can't take blood products or blood transfusions.
We met with a representative from Duke Hospital to discuss the blood issue,
The second form covers all the things that are conscience matters for witnesses.
to make sure they understand exactly what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to. And that was a very good experience.
On the day of the surgery, I was very nervous. I didn't sleep a bit the night before, not a bit. In the pre-op, the nurses were great.
Hi, Miss Cooper. I'm Stella. I'm gonna be your nurse.
They were very friendly and soothing.
Every nurse that came in, they explained everything they were doing. They just double-checked, triple-checked, and we liked that. Everybody would come in, show me your blue band. Do you have your blue band?
Patient safety is our first goal here. We always look at the patient's wrist area with Jehovah's Witness. They have blue bracelets, so that helps everybody aware this patient is not gonna get any blood transfusion.
When the chaplain came in, I was a little apprehensive, thinking, well, you know, she's definitely not going to agree with our beliefs. I didn't expect her to be as warm and considerate as she was.
The Department of Chaplain Services and Education. For over 60 years now, we've been serving Duke Hospital. The chaplain pays attention to what's important to the patient and their loved ones. Everyone's beliefs, no matter what they are, is what drives their life, their joy, their sadness, how they experience fear. As a team, we aim to value diversity in all people and to strengthen and empower.
Dr. Gonzalez came in, which surprised me. He again went over the blood issue, just to make her aware this is a very serious surgery.
But I understand you don't want to have blood, right?
He talked to my mom with true feeling. It was human being to human being.
He was very respectful of what I believed. He told me again the consequences if it went wrong. I thought, well, you know, I will or I won't. I could be all right or I could be dead. Just get on with it. It's the last thing I remember.
So then it was the waiting game. They gave us a little pager, and I really appreciated they kept us up to date.
Everybody ready for timeout? Yes, timeout. We have Cooper, Thelma.
I put my heart and soul into this work. I believe it's my calling. We first have a team huddle so that everybody in the operating room, one, understands that we're breaking new ground here, and two, understands what their different roles are and how we can all pitch in together.
My job is to go into the operating rooms, and I am the safety net. We're monitoring EEG, so that gives us the electrical activity that's happening in the brain. In the case of Thelma, that they don't stroke out in a certain area and have lack of abilities to talk or think or hear after the procedure is done.
Bears are present bilaterally and EEG is continuous and symmetric at baseline.
Communication in the operating room is critical. The main issue was that she already has limited blood flow to her brain. And for the period of time that we're rerouting the blood vessels, she's going to have no blood flow to her brain. So we needed to make sure that during that critical period, everything works smoothly. We achieved what we set out to do, but that's always tempered by the realization that the patient's brain is the ultimate decider of whether or not you did a successful operation.
We just finished. Everything went well.
It was awesome. It really was, in every aspect of the word awesome. We got to go back and see her.
In the neuro ICU, we didn't really know what to expect, but she looked bad.
She was in excruciating pain. She moaned and groaned and cried. I was like, something's wrong. And they immediately checked her out.
The job of an ICU nurse is to care for people, but always think that something's going to go wrong and then have 7 different backup plans. Overthink everything. But that's how you keep people alive.
Before we left, she was able to use her left side a little better. It still wasn't correct, but it was getting better.
The day after, we came in and she's sitting in the bed and she's smiling and, hey, honey, how are you? And it's just jaw-dropping to us. It wasn't long before Mama swung her feet off the bed and she says, I have to go to the bathroom.
You ready to go?
Don't touch me. I can do it. I hadn't walked to the bathroom in a year and a half by myself.
And she's like, I can do it. I can do it.
You're walking on your own, straight. You're walking straight. Oh my God.
The very next morning at 7:30, she calls me and she says, hey, honey, I'm ready for you to come get me. And I'm like, what?
I'm going home today.
They didn't say you're going to step down?
No.
Since I worked in the neuro ICU, I have never seen someone recover this quickly from such a complicated surgery. Well, once we figured out that she was going home, we had to have a dance party, so we just kind of bopped around.
In less than 48 hours, she went from a miserable, depressed, burdened woman to happy and glad to be alive.
I've been rejuvenated. And it's just like I'm 40 years old again instead of 80. And I love to bake bread and sweet stuff. I love to sew aprons. I consider what happened to me a miracle.
We've conquered a new frontier. And I'm thankful to be able to work in an institution that values delivering innovative, groundbreaking care to patients in a safe and effective manner.
They gave me my life back because my life involves my mother. So I will never be able to thank them for what they've done and how kind they were when they did this, and to genuinely care. That's what made it tremendous.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me. After my surgery, I feel like I can contribute to the earth and to mankind and to the family. And I think I can help somebody. And that's a good feeling to be able to help somebody.